Right now at 6, an eviction notice for one of Portland's largest encampments.
They're going to tow both sides of the road. Everything that everybody owns or whatever, it'll be gone.
Plus, crabbing season gets underway, though not for everyone.
It would be nice if we had the ability to move around and go where the crabs are.
Why some say the late start is actually better for customers. And later.
And it was a little bit of a slow start, but it's been getting busier and busier.
An update on the holiday pop-up experiment hoping to boost foot traffic downtown and get people to buy local. Good evening, everyone. We begin at 6 with one of Portland's largest homeless camps now slated for removal. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We are talking about the stretch along Northeast 33rd Drive near the airport that is filled with vehicles, including broken down RVs. And as Blair Best reports, this time the city plans to clear both sides of the road, leaving some folks worried and others wondering.
When you step into Suzanne Rollins' backyard,
well, this is everything, you know.
Her garden shelters you from what surrounds it.
It's just a whole nother world out here.
She's lived near 33rd Drive in Northeast Portland
since 1990. I've always loved this area out here, you know. I love the birds and the wetness and the wetlands and all of it.
That's all hard to find now, ever since what has become one of Portland's largest homeless camps moved in.
It's discouraging. I see a lot more of the really sad part of life.
An empty ball field is all that separates her yard from this line of RVs.
Trash is one thing, loud noises, exploding propane tanks. In the summer, you know, people staying up all night long, playing music, dogs.
All her neighbors sold their homes to the Port of Portland.
Oh, we had a neighbor over here.
She's the only one left.
But I don't know where I could move and have this much land. I just try really hard not to be angry and not to be upset. Because they have to go somewhere.
So the mayor's office tells us that this street is scheduled to be removed soon. So what makes this attempt at clearing the camps different from any of the other attempts? Well, the city is planning to clear both sides of the street, when in the past they've only cleared one.
By the 1st of February, everybody's got to be gone, or they're going to tow both sides of the road. Everything that everybody owns or whatever, it'll be gone.
The city is expecting it to take 4 days or more, given the number of RVs and groups required to clear them. They say outreach teams are connecting with people in RVs every day.
I've been out here 2 years and nobody's ever came to my fifth wheel over there and asked me if I needed a place to go.
Altogether, it's all just stupid. It's all stupid.
So when the city sweeps you, where are you going to go?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Everybody will basically bounce from here, probably most likely over to Delta Park. Post up at Delta Park for a while until they said they got to bounce and then end up right back over here.
A routine everyone, including Suzanne,
I mean, I just find it
knows all too well.
They have to have some way of keeping them from returning.
In Northeast Portland.
Yeah, and Blair joins us now. Blair, you can sense some of the frustration on all sides here. Really, a couple of lingering questions. One, it sounds like this is going to take a while. And two, where will all these people go? What's the plan there?
Well, David, we know it's going to take some time, and that's because the camps themselves stretch for about half a mile, and several different groups will have to coordinate. Now, as for where people will go, well, the city's Safe for Us Village for RVs is 1 street away, though that requires a referral. And as we've previously reported, people on the street say those can be hard to come by. But we'll keep you posted. David?
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Thanks so much, Blair. Let's get to your headlines this evening now. Police have identified the victim of a fatal shooting in Northwest Portland as a 17-year-old from Beaverton. Just after midnight on Wednesday morning, officers responded to the shooting just off West Burnside along Northwest Trinity Place. That is where they found Javon Johnson suffering from a gunshot wound. Officers say they tried to save him, but he died at the scene. No word on any suspects or arrests. Also in Portland, police are looking for the person they say shot a man in a parking garage at the Lloyd Center. This was around 1 this afternoon. Police tell us the victim has potentially life-threatening injuries. We're working to get more information there about the suspect. Well, a TriMet rider is in the hospital tonight with serious injuries after they were dragged by a MAX train. This was just before 11 a.m. at the Beaverton Transit Center. According to TriMet, the rider was wearing a long coat and had gotten off the train. But as the doors were closing, that rider put part of their coat into the door At the last minute, the train then took off, dragging them along the platform. Parts of the MAX blue and red lines were shut down following that incident. Both are now up and running again. And more than 500 unionized workers at Powell's Books have voted to accept a new contract. The contract dispute had gone on for almost a year and led to a one-day strike on Labor Day. Powell's first in more than 2 decades. Workers were pushing for increased benefits, wages, and restored seniority and vacation time for workers laid off and then rehired during the pandemic. The new contract meets those demands, including a 28% wage bump over 4 years, higher base pay for new employees, and lower health care costs. Matt?
All right, David, you know what? We had sunshine in Portland today, but boy, the fog was an issue in other parts. Look at the sunshine in the Cascades, too. The time lapse. Scattered high clouds. They're ahead of a weather system that will help to blow the fog on out of here. It's going to take a little bit of time now. Look at downtown Portland right now. The fog is thickening up, clear above, foggy below. The visibility has really dropped downtown just in the last 10 minutes. 43 degrees. Still some areas that are not socked in, but those will be basically closing in everywhere. Again, it's all about the fog right now. Visibility a quarter mile, Hillsborough, Aurora, and dropping pretty much everywhere else in the Western Valley. So yes, fog tonight will be thick, but our saving grace will be the incoming weather system. You see the fog this morning never burned off in much of the Willamette Valley, even though Portland downtown and points east had some clearing. We also are now just a little over an hour away from the beginning of winter. That's right, winter solstice is at 7:27 tonight, when the sun will reach its southernmost point on our planet over the Tropic of Capricorn. And of course, that means that we have no daylight above the Arctic Circle and 24 hours of it below the Antarctic Circle. So that's happening at 7:27 tonight. Our headlines: fog will give way to rain overnight, but that'll be late after midnight. So it's going to be a foggy evening if you're out and about. Cascade snow returns tomorrow. We'll show you how much. Gorge snow is looking more and more likely for Sunday and into Monday. That, of course, would mean a white Christmas in the Gorge, David. More on that later, too.
Yeah, a lot to watch. Thank you, Matt. See you in a few minutes. Developing this evening in Scappoose, friends of a well-known bartender described as loving and giving are mourning her loss after she was stabbed to death Tuesday at her home. Tim Gordon is live at the Columbia County Courthouse in St. Helens. Tim, the man prosecutors say killed 34-year-old Rhiannon Meyer was arraigned today. What have you learned?
Well, David, the man behind bars is 40-year-old David Welter, who friends say Meyer had befriended and, not surprisingly, was trying to help. The stabbing happened at this home on Southwest 4th Avenue in Scappoose. Officers found Rhiannon Meyer outside the front door, bleeding from several wounds, her mother frantically trying to help her. Friends here tell us that Meyer worked as a bartender in Scappoose and was well known and loved. Originally from Vernonia, she'd called Scappoose home for a long time, serving drinks at Longfellow's Inn and making a lot of friends along the way. She was also the mother of a young girl who friends say she loved and cared for to her fullest.
She was an amazing spirit. She would give you the shirt off of her back. Anything for anybody at any time. Like I said, free spirit. She enjoyed life. She enjoyed her family, her friends, and she did whatever she could for anybody.
Now, this is a mugshot police released of Derek Welter before they got him into custody on Tuesday. Court documents now indicate that Welter is homeless and Meyer would let him shower and do laundry at her home. Police say Welter took off after the stabbing, but they found him on a rural road in Columbia County. He was arraigned this afternoon on charges of murder, assault, and unlawful use of a weapon. Again, he remains in jail with a preliminary hearing now set for next Thursday. Meanwhile, friends of Myers will hold a candlelight vigil tomorrow night at 10 o'clock to help remember her, and they know a lot of people are going to show up for that. Back to you in Portland.
Yeah, they sure will. Tim Gordon reporting in Columbia County tonight. Thank you, Tim. Coming up tonight on the story, a look at a decision from the Oregon Court of Appeals which ruled that the state's signature climate program is invalid. The climate protection program was put in place to gradually reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the state's biggest polluters. In 2022, gas utilities and industry groups sued to block the plan, saying the state didn't have the authority to implement it. But the ruling doesn't necessarily mean that program is going away. Coming up at 6:30, environmental reporter Cale Williams takes a closer look at the decision, which some called a, quote, unfortunate hiccup and the tight legal timeline the state is now facing. You're watching KGW News. Straight ahead at 6, Dungeness crab season is back in Oregon, albeit delayed. Why the wait may actually be better when it comes to what ends up on your plate. And new tonight, conference clarity for the Beavers and Cougars as the sun sets on the Pac-12. Stick around.